Hello, my name is Gerson Torres, and today we're going to be talking about 5 things you did not know about the Royal Court. Now let's start. The Royal Court was distinguished from the Court of Law, or the central of the kingdom. It's also referred as the Royal Court, as you know, because that's the name of it, the Royal Court. Yeah, I'm not going to get into the word, but the distinguished name is the Royal Court. The other name that it's also produced is by the Timblins Production Company. That's a weird name to say, but let's keep on the down low that it's called the Royal Court. Now let's move on to number 2. Alright, for the second part of this that you did not know about the Royal Court is that the king would have grand banquets. I think you know what a banquet is, but if you don't, it's basically where the king holds a great feast for the rich people, because also the Royal Court is known as basically not as like a justice system, but where a lot of rich people go. So there's a reason why for banquets. And he also did ceremonies there. He collected taxes and settled disputes. And then the huge one, he made laws. Now let's go to part 3. Alright, so for part 3, as you can see in this picture, you see a king, and you also see this man talking to the king in his ear. And I can think that you can guess who that is, and that is the king's advisor. So basically, the king's advisor was there for only one thing, if the king wasn't there. So basically, he's a backup of the king, and really, he can be either good or bad. So how does this relate to the royal court? It's a huge, because when the king is not there to settle his dispute, the king's advisor would be in charge of the court until the king is back. But here's a huge deal with this. If the king's advisor is good, then he would rule the central government of the kingdom really good. But if he's bad, then the king might have his head. Let's go to part 4. Alright, part 4. So, I guess you're going to be thinking on what we're going to be talking about. Well, first of all, we're going to be talking about that man in that picture and also some other guys. Well, that guy right there is a king, and he is Henry II of England. Now, how is he important to the royal court? Well, let's say he's pretty important, because he is the first king to tend and settle arguments by holding special types of court session. Now, Louis V handled arguments like a mom. Seriously, like a mom. He would settle arguments by hearing each person's case. Cool fact. I know I've been saying that a lot. But Richard II sat in a royal court for hours looking at the room. Now let's go to part 5. Alright, for part 5 and the final part, we're basically going to be talking about kings. So basically, you know as kings as the head person of the kingdom. But also, they can be pretty dumb. First of all, did you know, and I bet you don't know, that kings didn't even know how to write or read? But they can settle courts like a mom. Give it up to Louis. I'm not saying that the kings weren't smart, but they weren't that bright. But the things that kings did was they had a special seal that they would use to stamp official documents. But you want to know what this seal provided? It provided that the document was a genie that acted like the king's signature. Whoever made that was a bright king. I gotta say, he was pretty bright.